Those Two Nerds podcast. I will be your host today, joined by my awesome colleague. My name is Vera Coach, and this is Nictus, and we are Those Two Nerds.
Those Two Nerds.
Yeah, doing nerdy things all day. So,
except for when we're sleeping.
So, yeah, I sleep too much.
I don't sleep enough. It happens when you get old.
Oh, you know. All right. So, can we just first start off this amazing podcast with a nice talk about Endgame DVD trailer? Thoughts?
Where do we begin? Anyone who hasn't seen this, just take a couple minutes out of your life, pause this, and go watch this thing. I mean, we're not going to actually wait for you to watch the whole 3 or 4 minutes of it, but I'll just give you a brief little rundown. Now, when I told you about this, what was your first reaction?
Well, I first saw it at work, and I was just, watching a sporting event, and then the commercial came on, and I was like, did they just spoil the whole movie?
Yes.
Without even watching it? Like, this is a 1.5-minute trailer, and I just saw Captain America pick up Thor's hammer, and I'm like,
whoa, spoiler alerts. We're not the Endgame people, right?
Oh yeah.
That totally happens, and it's in the trailer. If you're watching this, you've probably already seen Endgame, so we're going to keep the spoilers to the movie at a minimum because we're not douches. And we know that some people wait for DVD releases, they wait for Redbox, they wait for digital releases. Not everybody likes movie theaters. Some people actually have phobias of going to the movie theater. Some people just can't afford it,
Movies are expensive. I know popcorn can be a little crazy at times.
Yeah, I don't think you can justify charging $50 and calling it a snack.
No, that's why I'm starting to bring my own popcorn. It reminds me of the TV show I used to watch. He actually made popcorn pants. They made popcorn inside of his pants. Now, it didn't work out too well when you added butter, but that's how it has to go sometimes. Needless to say, the trailer was just beyond spoilerific. It was terrible. I feel like you didn't even need to watch the movie after the trailer.
No.
Because you knew exactly what was going to happen.
In under 4 minutes, they took over 3 hours of film. And every big surprise, twist, secret reveal thing that you wanted to see, it was in there. I think there may have been 1 or 2, but I would say 98% of the really good stuff, that those moments when you were watching the theater and the audience was like, yeah, that's in the trailer.
Yep. So I hope you're really excited to say, yeah, when you watch the trailer, because you don't even need to watch the movie. You don't have to spend the $20. You don't have to go to Redbox. You can just watch the whole movie by watching any commercial. That's about it. Yep. And I mean, I just don't understand how a company that makes that much money can be so stupid. They probably don't make the trailer, but they at least approve it, and they knew going into it that it was it had to be bad.
In my opinion, that was kind of a big middle finger to anyone who didn't shell out the money to go buy a ticket and see it. And I'm sure in their head they're thinking, well, we released it and then we re-released it so that they could top Avatar, which they did. Totally topped Avatar at the box office. That's great. That's awesome. But there are still those people who don't go to movies, but they like movies. So you've ruined the whole movie for them?
Yeah, but all you added, and if you haven't seen the extended edition or alternate ending, they basically all kneel for Iron Man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to spoil it there, but it's Iron Man. And I'm not going to tell you why they're kneeling, but I think you can get the gist of it.
I think it's going to be in the deleted scenes, even on just like the traditional release, too.
It will be in the movie. I mean, it would be stupid of them to not put it in there, but my thing was, I'd never even seen Avatar fully. I didn't think Avatar was that great of a movie, the hour or so that I watched, and it's like 3 hours.
It's long.
Yeah, if I'm going to watch a 3-hour movie, I'm going to go see Endgame, Infinity War, Lord of the Rings. I can name countless movies that I would rather see than Avatar. I think it was bad, but it did really well overseas.
It's been a while since I've seen Avatar, so I honestly don't remember a lot about it. I remember that it looked cool.
Yeah.
But I remember there were parts of the story I thought were kind of ridiculous, but I think I'm gonna have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I think any movie that you watch overall, if you cannot tell me at least 1 to 2 great scenes about it, it was not that good of a movie. Like, if I look at Lord of the Rings, them meeting Gollum for the first time, or, when they're all sitting around the table and he's like, my axe and, like, my bow, like, you're sitting there like, oh my God, they're about to go to war.
Yeah.
And, I mean, there's just so many memorable things, and I couldn't tell you anything that happened. I know there's some blue people in there, but I've seen the Smurfs as well.
Speaking of the Smurfs, there was an episode of the Smurfs that, because I'm a fair bit older than you.
A little bit.
That was like my first exposure to the idea of a zombie apocalypse. They've actually made memes and stuff about it, and it was something about the purple Smurfs. Now I'm not going to go into great detail on that, but anybody that remembers that, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's like this bug, or it's like a mosquito or something, it bites one, and he gets infected, he turns purple, goes around and starts biting other Smurfs on the tail, and then they turn purple, and before you know it, everyone in the Smurf village is,
so are they
angry and like biting other Smurfs, and then here comes Papa Smurf, right? Spoiler alert, by the way, this episode's like 30 years old, so I'm not spoiling anything. Papa Smurf comes in, and you're like, yeah, he's going to save the day, because Papa Smurf always saves the day. And then I don't remember which Smurf it was. Might have been Jokey, might have been Brainy, and bit Papa Smurf on the tail and turned him into one of the monsters.
Oh,
and then, yeah, but anyway, look it up, Purple Smurfs.
Sounds like the zombie apocalypse of Smurfs.
It was scary.
Kind of switching off the movie. Let's talk about the big news that happened over the past week or so. $3 million grand prize going to a kid that is 16 years old. And the harsh reality of it, he learned that he was going against Uncle Sam all weekend after his $3 million was cut in half by New York state taxes and other taxes and stuff like that. Yeah. He only walked away with $1.5 million. Now, I mean, we're a little bit older, so we know a little bit more about taxes, but do you think that taking over half an earnings is fair?
I don't think taking half an earnings on anything is fair, but the law's the law. We all abide by the law. This kid now understands a little bit more about taxes, whether it's fair or not. But I have to say, because I don't know, do you think that they congratulated him when he had to write them a check?
I would hope so. I mean, I'd be so... as the government, I'm like, we're about to fix all the potholes. I might be driving a new Mercedes.
Now, this is New York State, right?
New York, yeah.
So, I mean, how much is $1.5 million going to do in that city?
They might be able to build, like, a new apartment and charge, like, $1,200 for, like, a couch.
I don't know. I've never lived there. I've known people that live there. They say it's a really expensive city, but...
Maybe some air fresheners. I heard it really smells in New York. But, I mean, my thing is taking $3 million is a crazy amount of money to give to anybody. Me coming from the competitive standpoint, I played at Call of Duty, and the max grand prize at most events were like $250,000. And that was split among 5 people. How can you justify, where's all the money going? Like, you have all this money in Fortnite, and it's a free-to-play game. Mm-hmm. The money they get is from skins, emotes, stuff like that, not even knowing much about it. And then you have Call of Duty, multi-million-dollar company, every single year, new game releases, same game, just, different things. And the biggest thing they can offer is, like, $250,000. Do you think Fortnite will inspire people to go a little bit higher on their earnings?
Well... See, now this is one of those things I'm not really prepared to discuss, but just taking an educated stab at it, what is the revenue that Call of Duty has brought in comparison to Fortnite? And you have to kind of start there.
Yeah.
Plus, how many employees does it take to run one of those events?
Mm-hmm.
How many people actually work for the company? So how much is that money that they're getting distributed? Because Call of Duty is owned by...
multiple
MLG,
Activision,
okay.
Whoever's the owner of the brand, like it's...
So these companies are big.
Oh, big. I mean, they have the money. They have the sufficient funds. And you can't tell me that... I mean, every time Call of Duty, you can be any fan or whatever, and you can be like, I don't think that, I'm going to buy the next Call of Duty, and then you find yourself at grand opening, and you're buying it. So, I don't know. I think it can go either way, to be honest. It's... Everybody has it, so it's too hard to tell.
I think it's a good thing, though.
I think so too.
I mean, how much money have they made off the game? I have no idea. I'm not really a fan of the game. You know, I'm not. I know a little bit about it. I watch some of your streams and whatnot. But I mean that's probably a drop in the bucket, isn't it, in comparison to what they've made?
Oh, I mean, you have to have. They've made way more money than what they've distributed out this weekend.
Oh well, yeah, they're not gonna go negative hosting that tournament
for sure.
It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and they also did like multiple charity, like the Pro-Am was all charity, which I think is awesome that Fortnite's giving back. And I think a lot of games do. It's just a lot of under the radar. Fortnite just makes it a big tournament out of it.
Yeah,
which I think is great. And the biggest thing that I think happened this weekend was after the tournament, maybe 1 or 2 days after, Ninja announces he is switching from the biggest platform that he's on, one of the biggest streamers on there, to Mixer, owned by Microsoft. And anybody knows anything about Ninja, he's making a buttload of money. There's no comparison. And now he's going to join a platform where he has essentially nothing. Now he's gaining it back after his stream of 70,000 viewers. So, I mean, for a guy like that, how much would you be willing to offer to join a different streaming? I mean, 11.3 million over easily 40,000 subs, making half of what every sub is.
Honestly, up until about 3 or 4 days ago, I had never even heard of Mixer. I'd heard of other streaming platforms, and I've even heard that Facebook is kind of, you know, I've even experimented on Facebook game streaming as being more credible than some company I've never heard of. Now, I'm not saying that Mixer's a bad company or poor or anything. They might be great, but I really, honestly, I don't know anything about them until you just told me that one of the world's, maybe the world's most popular streamer jumped ship to another streaming platform to, you know, do his content exclusively.
Yeah, I was watching a YouTube video on it. I can't remember the name. It was just one that popped up in my recommended, and they were talking by one streamer. He quoted that roughly for him to leave, we have to be talking somewhere in the $6 to $8 million a year to stream on Mixer. And that's a 3-year deal. Now, nothing has been confirmed by Ninja or Mixer on how much he is making. But another thing is, this was out of the blue. I think the main reason why he did it is he was on Twitch. I mean, Fortnite Cup was all over Twitch. That was the thing to watch. I mean, 2.3, I think it was million viewers that watched that whole tournament go down.
I was not on.
Yeah, I was not one either. I did not watch it.
I wasn't one.
I only heard about it, and I thought it was crazy. And you have to look at it this way. I think he did it because, you know, he fulfilled out his duties on Twitch. After that event, there's no more World Cup. He can now make the switch. And he even said that it was something in the works for a while, but he didn't say why he left so abruptly and out of the blue. But I think it was just mainly because he was waiting for the cup to be over because he was going to be on Twitch.
Well, ultimately, it's always going to boil down to a couple of scenarios, and the number one one's money. When you're already making that much money, you either are going to be offered more, or promised more, or given a little bit more freedom to do different things, and we don't know all the ins and outs of it. What I found fascinating about the news was not just from a gaming aspect, but I don't even know if anything like that has ever happened before, where you have a content creator on a social media platform who, you know, that's where they got founded, they do their thing, they get popular, and then another social media platform, new or a competitor, says, hey, we're going to give you a whole bunch of money, come on over here and do that. Now, maybe there has, because I don't keep up with that, so I don't quote me on that as being 100% fact. But this definitely made headlines, which, in a way, that's big, right? That would mean like they're in the realm of like entertainers, movie stars, radio hosts, or television stars.
I think overall that the Twitch community, when you've reached the pinnacle, I would say like a Nick Merckx, Tim Tap, and people like that, you hit this certain status to where you're known. I mean, Tim Tatman talks about it a lot. He goes to restaurants, and sometimes he can't even eat because he has so many fans. And he's not even one of the biggest. He is one of the bigger faces on Twitch, but he's not the biggest. So I can't imagine people that are even higher than him. And I think it's just it's one of those things where you're like a rock star in a way to so many young kids, just nerds in general, game lovers, everything. So it's too hard telling what could go on with Mixer. Maybe Mixer will sign more. If the money's right, I think anybody will leave. Who cares? You're going to make the money regardless. And now if you go to this certain platform and you strive and you find that diamond in the rough, you're going to make even more money than what you're making now. Be the poster boy for somebody. Make it while you can, because you never know. You could wake up a year from now being a streamer and have no followers anymore, really.
Being an online personality, it's hard. It's a lot harder than people say, and a lot of times streamers and YouTubers, they get a bad rep. Like, people talk about, I wish I could sit around and get paid all that money to play games or to get on YouTube and talk about makeup or hair or whatever that they're into. But still, those people just didn't turn on their webcams and their microphones one day, and then the next day they were making all this money. Like, they worked at it.
Yeah.
They worked hard at it.
Oh, yeah.
Love them, hate them, it doesn't matter. Anyone who makes money doing something that they enjoy doing is always going to have people that hate on them for it. Mm-hmm. But when you branch out, you got to remember that there's only so many pots, right? There's only so many people that are going to keep throwing money into certain pots. And if you have too many, you flood, and then no one's the biggest or whatever. It makes it hard. So I think that, while I think that there's definitely room for more social media platforms for streaming of games and content and such, you also don't want to try and have too many and have all your stars everywhere, because then it starts kind of turning into like an NFL thing, right? Like, all your favorite stars are on different teams.
Who's signing where? And
yeah.
I totally agree, and I can't agree enough. And hopefully Ninja found the diamond in the rough again, just like Fortnite before it blew up. But only time will tell.
Regardless, he's getting paid.
Oh, he's getting...
Whether Mixer goes down in flames, or whether, they become successful and a true-on competitor to Twitch and YouTube.
Oh, for sure. Well, let's completely switch gears from a cartoon-type game like Fortnite to I would say more of an anime feel. The new Fire Emblem. Yes. It is taking off on Twitch. It's beating some of the top-tier games, and you're seeing some of the popular streamers get on this game right now. Now, I've never personally played this, but I know you have a little bit more mastery in the game. Oh, no, I would not go that far. It is fun. It is a lot of fun. I've played some of the original series. I've even gone back and recently picked up some of the first console games on GameCube and whatnot. And I'll be honest, terrible. I'm terrible at the game. But this new one, some of the cutscenes in it, if you like anime-style cartoons and whatnot, they're absolutely gorgeous. And it's full voice acting on almost every dialogue box that pops up, which that helps me a lot. Now, I like to read, but let's not... we go to a quest thing, we're like, X button, X button, X button. I don't really care what he's saying. Just tell me what I'm supposed to do. Show me the little arrow and I want to go kill it. We're in the minority. There are a lot of people that don't skip the dialogue text. Your brother's one buddy. He reads everything. He reads every dialogue box, and your brother's always like, just skip to the part where we get to go kill the guys. Yeah. I don't care about what he has to say or why we're doing. Just tell me what I'm supposed to kill. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that feels like, especially a game with like Fire Emblem, that's an hours upon hours game. So you're like, all right, well, I think I can skip this scene and maybe get to the next one, and I'll watch the next one. And you never watch. You never watch it. I play ESO, and I just tried that out, and they have beautiful talking cutscenes. Yes, and I can tell you, I've probably sat down and listened to the first lady on the boat, and that was about it. Then I was done, and she said about 5 words, and then I was like, okay, it's time for questing. Maybe that's the WoW in me, but. Point me in the direction to kill stuff. Yeah, it can be bad and good. Like, it just depends on your feel towards the game. I know you were kind of, as we were discussing earlier in the week, some of the things that you found about it that made the game feel a lot better than the past ones. Something about, the overwhelming systems of the game that can kind of take you through a loop. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, the original series, now they've tweaked them throughout the years, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with the mobile game or not, but I've played it a little bit, and the combat system it's turn-based. And it also has this sort of paper, rock, scissors feel to it. And don't tell me I can't tell you which does what. I don't really know. I go, well, the blue one hurts the green one, and then that's all I really pay attention to. But in the new one, the characters in the combat, their weapon skill increases. So I think they've removed a lot of the paper, rock, scissors aspect where one type of weapon is better against another one. They've also implemented so much more social interaction with the NPCs that are in the game. And the social aspects, no lie, they could take all the fighting out of the game and automate all of the fighting, and the social aspect of the game and trying to interact with them and get them to be your friends, or make them dislike you, or whatever it is that you choose to do. Very like a Sims type game. They could make a whole game just on that. But both systems are very deep. They're very rewarding, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I saw something. It was a Twitter clip actually this morning of Fire Emblem. This guy owned all the teachers, owned all the students. Like they said, there was like 2 teachers in each house, which I think that first thing I think of houses, I think of Hufflepuff.
Yep.
And I mean, I don't think I'm in Hufflepuff because I know you like to make the jokes as if you're not a main character, you're in Hufflepuff, which is very true. I wouldn't even know what house I'm in. I think I'm in that one that's, what is it, Ravenclaw?
Ravenclaw.
I think I might be in Ravenclaw, but because I'm no Harry Potter. I'm the guy that's gonna follow. Who is the kind of goofy teeth guy from Harry Potter that like always just had the worst luck throughout the whole movie?
You're talking about Neville?
Neville, it probably was. Yeah, he was just that reminds me of, now I know he's in Hufflepuff, I'm pretty sure.
I thought he was in Gryffindor.
Was he? How did he get to Gryffindor? If he got in Gryffindor, then I may be up there. I might hit the ranks.
Someone can chime in whenever they want to, but I feel like Neville was in Gryffindor.
He may be.
Maybe.
Who was in Ravenclaw? That like was important. I mean, I don't know enough about Harry Potter, and I haven't seen the movies, and so
I haven't seen the movies in a while. I did enjoy them, and I read the books, but I read them when the very last book came out, so however long ago that was.
Yeah.
So I don't remember. I like Harry Potter. I think it's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
But
I like what they're doing with the game.
I don't obsess over it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the game makes you feel like you're in a Harry Potter, but like Final Fantasy fighting.
Yeah.
And I think that's really neat. I didn't experience the game yet, but I've just heard nothing but positive feedback. Everybody's saying, the great cutscenes. It makes you want to sit down and watch them. And with this anime feel, I have to ask, because it's like every anime's like deciding question how big of an anime fan you are. Subbed or dubbed?
I think you actually can turn it either way you want. While I prefer to have the English dialogue with actual English subtitles, because sometimes, I don't know, when I'm playing games, I don't like the volume blasting unless I have headphones on or something. And you might miss a piece of dialogue. But you can have it with Japanese dialogue on, Japanese audio, and then English subtitles if you want. Like, that's definitely 100% an option.
Oh, for sure. So all the anime fans out there,
I'm sure most of those people have probably already picked it up. It's blowing up the review charts. It's been out for a little over a week now. Mm-hmm. It's great. It's absolutely phenomenal. I don't know about some of the other games that are out there, and I'm not a game analyst but depending on what else comes out, I feel if it sells enough units, it might be in contention for Game of the Year, or at least nodded to at the Video Game Awards for the music or something. It's really good. It's a really well done game.
Well, looking at the list of games that are coming out to actually have the good running for Game of the Year, and I think the biggest one everybody is talking about, not yet released, but tons of people have played it, I think at E3 or something like that, was Borderlands 3.
Yes.
Everybody has played the demo or whatever they gave you at the the venue, and they said it's amazing. Over over a million guns.
Yeah.
I've seen a little bit, like bits and pieces. I've always loved Borderlands, that type of cartoony comic book tons of guns. It makes you feel like, oh, I just picked up this green. Now I'm the best around. Like everything that you pick up feels like an upgrade, and I just love that whole feel of it. And I've always been. I think that's how you get my interest in games. Sometimes
it's loot whoring, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's why we play Diablo. You want to go kill a monster, get a cool new weapon. 5 minutes later, you want to go kill a different monster, and then oh my god, there's a better weapon. You know, and that's why we play games like that.
I was gonna say I watch a lot of streamers that play like Path of Exiles and Diablo, and it's so funny. They're like, I'm getting on today with this 0.01 chance of this item dropping that I need to complete my set, and we're not gonna stop until I get it. I'm like, you guys are out of your mind.
Oh, I mean, and their eyeballs are bleeding. They've been playing so long.
Yeah, and this is week 6. Still no item, and right when they get the item, it's the best reaction ever. Is update comes out, new better item is out, more grind.
Yeah, more.
Their whole set is to them is trash, and I'm like, you are rocking the most legendary set I've ever seen in my life. You're like a rock star in Diablo, and I'm over here like, I beat the game.
Yeah, I beat it once. It was really hard.
And you play on hardcore with that, Gary? You must have all the ladies.
We're not worthy, you know.
It can get bad at times. Next up, GameStop. I know you had a pretty rough experience not too long ago about a certain oversell of pre-orders. So you can kind of take us through your little what happened.
I'm not going to go. I've already ranted enough to pretty much anyone that would listen to it this week. Yeah, I've told you multiple times. Everyone at work.
Instagram, Facebook.
Everywhere.
It's been everywhere.
Right. So basically I pre-ordered an item. And then when it was time to ship said item, the item did not ship. So when it didn't show up on the day that it was supposed to, I was the patient customer thinking, well, maybe it just, reasons. Because there's complications. We all know that.
Yeah.
So instead of, blowing up their customer complaint line or whatever, I figured I'd just be patient. So Sunday rolled around and I got an email from GameStop saying that my pre-order had been canceled. So I jump on the phone. And I'm not a phone person. I don't really like the phone.
I don't think anybody is nowadays.
No, it's weird. I just kind of wanted to text him and be like, why did you just make my thing not show up, But...
Yeah.
We can't do that. So I had to call him on the phone. And I talked to him, and he was very nice. He was very, very polite, and he even seemed, pretty sympathetic. He said that they were unable to take the funds from my account. Now, I paid with my PayPal account, which is linked directly to my checking account. And while I won't disclose how much money was in there because I'm not, super rich or anything like that, there was more than enough to cover the $12.99 amiibo charge for the figure.
What was it?
It was King DDD.
Did you finally get King DDD?
I did, but not from GameStop, which it was a GameStop exclusive.
Well, you wouldn't be here if you did get it from GameStop. We wouldn't be ranting right now.
Probably not the same.
Maybe.
I've always had issues with their exclusivity items that you can't get anywhere else, and I can't fault the stores. I can't fault the store managers or the employees that work there. Mm-hmm. I've had both good and bad experiences in GameStop over the however many years that GameStop has been around. I've been alive since the first one. But it just seems like as time went on, they got a little bit worse and a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And an experience that happened, I believe it was last year or whatever year, the Starlink Battle for Atlas with the little toy spaceships and stuff. Mm-hmm. They had a couple of exclusive items, but they were available in store, so you could walk up to the store and actually buy it.
Yeah.
That bothers me less than having something that's online only, and then not having the online means to actually handle traffic to your site or to be able to keep bots from buying all of the stuff and kicking it out of your shopping cart.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do online sales and online exclusivity for an item, then make it online only and not actually have it in stores, which is a lie because there were people that posted pictures of GameStop stores with the item that was supposed to be an online only item in the store.
I think if I just got something, online exclusive, I walk into the store and I see it on the shelves, I can promise you that shelf's probably not going to be there. Like something's getting ripped off the walls. We're going to take those $5 games that you traded in, which is probably over 50 of them. Even though they did raise their sales a little bit on those.
They had to. They didn't have a choice.
Oh, well, when you're going under, I think you got to find everything you can.
When GameStop first was around and they were doing trade-ins on games and whatnot, there weren't a lot of options for the general consumer to, distribute or get rid of their unwanted stuff. And GameStop kind of filled that void, which, they didn't give you a lot of money for your stuff, but they didn't have to, because where else were you going to get rid of it? Unless you sold it in a garage sale or you sold it to a friend who collected stuff. It wasn't really until you had more things come out like eBay and Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and these online things that you could directly sell it to someone, and you didn't have to sell it to GameStop, that the prices on their trade-in things became more valuable.
Yeah.
But can you blame them when you bring your copy of Destiny 1 on PS3 in and they want to give you 25 cents for it, when they probably have, 300 or 400 copies of it in a warehouse? I mean, they don't need it.
For sure. And like you said, the big thing here is you can't fault the store managers, you can't fault store owners, because they can't do anything. It's like yelling at your server for the food taking too long because you act like they cooked it.
Yeah.
The big thing here is just overselling pre-orders that are exclusive online, and really just not giving anybody... I would be more happy if somebody said, the item is sold out when I go to pay.
Yeah.
As soon as I pay,
Yep.
It takes the money out, and if it's sold out, it just gives me the money back, sends me an email, and says, sorry, we have ran out of all of the supplies. Because it's not like you don't know how many were made. And if you don't, that's even a bigger problem. Like, you can't... Amazon is so great at that. Like, if something sells out, it's gone. It lets you know that right away.
It's gone. They don't have any.
And there's no thing about it. And when you have these online orders, you were talking about the extreme shipping cost, item by item, and I think that is ridiculous. $6, sometimes even more, depending on where it's being shipped.
I'm an amiibo collector, right?
Oh, I know you are.
You know this. I love those
beautiful.
Those silly little Nintendo plastic figurines with the NFC chips in them. And I'm probably the worst kind, because I open all mine out of the boxes. I want to actually set them up on the shelf. I want to look at them. I use them in the games that I play. I couldn't
imagine how much you would have later on in life if you kept them all in the box.
The price difference between them really isn't that much. Even out of the box, they still maintain a pretty good value.
If you keep them, yeah.
As long as they're clean and they're not beat up.
Yeah.
Regardless, we're getting off topic. So I love them, right? They're great. I started collecting when the Switch came out, because I didn't have money when the Wii U came out, and I didn't really play Smash at the time. Breath of the Wild. That was
beautiful.
That's why I started.
Yeah.
So I started buying them, getting clearance here and there, and before you know it, it wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to collect the Zelda ones. Now I'm going to collect the Mario ones, and then I'll get the Splatoon ones because those are cool. Well, maybe I'll get the Mega Mans, and before you know it, I have a ton of amiibos at my house.
Yeah.
But my issues have been, because I am a collector, they have reissued several of the older figures, which was great because I hadn't bought all of the old figures, and they gave people who didn't start collecting in 2014 a chance to get some of them and not pay online prices of $25 and $30 or more dollars per figure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for all you people overseas, because I've seen the prices that you guys pay on some of those things in Australia and Europe and stuff, and I'm really sorry. But
that's bad.
So they had a couple of exclusive ones, like the Dark Souls Solaire amiibo. Okay. You couldn't get that anywhere else, and it was online only. And I had issues trying to pre-order them. When we first tried to pre-order the cart, it kicked the thing out of the cart, and you couldn't buy it. So a couple days later, some of us were able to get on and actually purchase them. But then they canceled one of my pre-orders. But they let me know about it way in advance so I could order another one.
I was going to say, that's fine.
So I did end up getting one, and then I placed an order for another one because I wasn't sure if they were going to cancel the one. And then both orders went through. So now I have two, and I don't really feel that bad about it. I feel like they owed me one. And I did leave one in the box, if you're wondering. I have one in the box, minty fresh.
Minty fresh.
Minty fresh, and I have one that I opened. But $6. $6 per figure. I could not combine shipping in any way, shape, or form. And it happened again when the reissues of the Amiibo figures happened. There was a couple, I think it was back in, July just happened, but the last release I think was in April. And there was a couple that I was wanting to pick up for my brother because he only the Pokemon ones. $6 a figure. They charged me $18 to ship 3 $13 figures.
Yeah, I was gonna say what's sad about that is it's almost half of what the items cost you pay in shipping.
And I paid it because they were the only store that had it.
Yeah. Well, you could have just waited and they're probably going to be on the shelves anyway.
Probably eventually, but then that means I have to walk into a GameStop and deal with the not so nice person that basically was making fun of me for buying the plastic spaceships for Starlink. He's like, well, aren't you a little old to be playing with plastic spaceships? And I'm like, dude, aren't you a little old to be working in a GameStop? I'm not trying to judge you. Don't judge me.
Yeah.
I mean, you work with games. Clearly you love them. I love them too. Maybe you like different games, but don't riddle me because I'm not the type of gamer you are.
All I gotta say is, as soon as he was giving some backlash for buying them, just RKO out of nowhere.
I don't know why you'd want to ridicule one of your customers for wanting to give your store money.
Because you need it.
Because here comes some numbers for you. Last Thursday, stocks for GameStop down they're under $4 a share. They fell 24 cents a share on Thursday.
Yeah.
And as a result, they fired 33% of their management. That included store managers, district managers, regional managers, HR representatives, and loss prevention managers.
Well, you have to.
So I guess now's a good time to steal from GameStop, right? I'm not promoting stealing, but isn't that not what the HR department does? They prevent you, or I'm sorry, the loss prevention.
Yeah.
They keep your stores from losing more money.
Well, I mean, at this point, you might, for your beautiful mint condition game, instead of getting $4.99 for it, you might get $5 this time. But who knows? I mean, I would like to see them try to go up, but at the same time, if they die in flames, I will not be mad, because we're almost moving into the digital age, and stores are kind of falling down. I mean, you go into a Best Buy now, and you hardly see any CDs, you hardly see any movies.
Well, Best Buy completely stopped carrying them, unless it was a commemorative or a special edition box set of some kind for
exactly.
CDs. There's none.
Exactly.
They don't sell.
We're in a digital age now where you're going to see stores don't need as much space. If they do have stuff like that, it's going to be bigger, exclusive items.
Well, have you seen what even Best Buy, they hired some guy. He's basically like a really smart guy that comes in and tries to teach you how to change your company and change directions and whatnot. So that way your store doesn't fall under, because, I know Amazon's great and I know online retailers are great, but if there are no brick and mortar stores, they can start charging you whatever they want. And I know that most of the times they're lower on their prices, but some people like to actually go to the store and physically look at the thing that they're buying. It just makes them feel better.
Oh, yes. 100%. There's nothing better than that. I know as a kid growing up, when you go and buy, even the new next Call of Duty, because you could download it at home. You could download it on Steam.
And play it at midnight.
Exactly. And it's ready at midnight. But going to the store, walking in there and you're like, I got it. I'm taking a picture. This is going on the Instagram, Twitter, my Facebook, my mom's gravestone. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's going everywhere.
Take it with a Polaroid.
Exactly.
And put it in the scrapbook.
Yeah, it's so bad at times, but you're right. You have to have those stores to keep the online stores in check, if you want to call it that. But
well, there's also still that personable aspect of it. I mean,
yeah.
You get to deal with an actual person.
Unless it's that guy from GameStop.
Not everybody there is bad. I'm not saying that. But when you deal with an actual person, they can make recommendations. You can tell them what your wants and needs are in a particular item, and if they know anything about the stuff that they're selling, they can suggest products that might fit what you want. Maybe upsell you. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a tactic, but maybe they could find you something that's a little bit more budget-friendly or cheaper for you that's going to fill all the needs that you want.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're not going to get that on Amazon or Walmart.com or Target.com or any app. It's just not going to happen. So GameStop needs to do something to save themselves, basically, is what we're saying.
Yes.
And the word on the street is they went out shopping in January for people to try and buy them. They couldn't find anybody to actually purchase them. They just posted losses of like $675 million. $675 million.
Chump change, yeah.
It's not. That's not chump change. That is a significant amount of money. That's more money than some movies make when they release them in the theater. That is a significant amount of money. So I guess the game plan is now, and since they couldn't find somebody to buy them and bail them out, they're going to try and convert. They're probably going to close some of their stores. That's going to happen.
Have to.
But they're going to try and convert their stores into retro game stores. Because I don't know if anyone knows this, they have been buying all of your old crap for years and storing it, saving it. I mean, you can go to their website or their app. Don't, because you don't want to give them any money. But you could, just to go look. You can find old copies of GameCube games, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, Xbox original games. I'm not sure about Atari and things quite that far back, but most of the home console games, you can find almost any game you're looking for on there. Used. It's not new. But that's because when you were trading in your copies of stuff for $2 and $3, they took everything. That was the one thing. They may have only gave you a quarter, but they took it.
It was kind of like their policy, for sure.
They took it. As long as it functioned and it worked and it didn't look like you had flushed it down a toilet, they took it.
Yeah.
You know? So, and esports. They want to go into esports, which I find that interesting.
It will be definitely their big saving grace, but that's going to be one of those things where they need to make a fix on this, big hole that they have, because the ship's sinking. So they got to fix this hole.
Oh, it's going down.
Try to come floating again, or they're going to be the Titanic. And
Leo is so cold right now.
It's cold. It's very cold. Even though they definitely could have fit on that little piece, but we're not going to get into the Titanic. It's too old of a movie.
Some people that are watching probably don't even know that that's a thing.
Yeah.
Or even why people care.
About Titanic?
Yeah.
I think I've seen that movie once. But talking more about movies, D&D reboot is back on, apparently. That was a big thing that came out this week.
Yeah.
Talks with some new directors, people that are just like actors that are, I want to do this. I'm a D&D fan. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, the era of D&D before TVs were big and everything. You played board games like D&D. And if you had an imagination and you were a nerd, you probably know what we're talking about right now. And you wouldn't be here if you probably weren't a nerd. So
social pariahism, right? When I was growing up, probably a little bit when you were growing up too, if you were into video games and role-playing games and anything that was not Monopoly or Scrabble or some family game that you could play, any weird games, right? Mm-hmm. You were looked at like you were some kind of a weirdo.
Yeah.
Because we've played Magic, and I've been in Magic almost since the beginning. And I remember I had a couple of friends that played, and it was fun. Yeah. But people looked at you like you were in the corner worshiping the devil. I'll cast my evil demonic Lord of the Pit and annihilate your ass, But they didn't understand.
No, they didn't. Roll your D20.
Roll your D20.
And they're like D20. Is this guy
what is that?
Yeah, it's just some. And you're probably in the what's the club that the kids are in from Stranger Things? It's like the something about you do nerdy stuff in there.
I don't remember what it was.
Yeah,
called.
but
that's a great TV show. Though.
Oh, if you haven't seen season 3, which I haven't, I'm still in halfway through season 2.
I haven't either, so I won't spoil anything for you. But spoiler alert: some stuff happens.
Oh, I mean, it has to. The Upside Down. I think that's so cool what they did with that show and making D&D a part of it, and because it was such a big thing.
Well, D&D is a hot commodity right now, right?
Yeah.
So I know that I keep up with it a little bit more than you, because I've been dungeon mastering 25 years.
Before I've been born, yeah.
So I've never really been good, but I have fun doing it, and people seem to like the way that I do it, so we play. Now, I know that your issues with Dungeons & Dragons are you have a very short attention span, and that's okay. But if you can't see what's going on, it's hard for you to visualize it.
Yeah, don't let me be the map person. I'm not Dora the Explorer. I'm not the map. Do not ask me. I'm not doing it. Because 10 feet to me, you're getting a little squiggle.
Squiggle.
Yeah, but do you think that this movie is going to be like playing a game of D&D?
I think that the whole reason that we're even talking about the potential for a Dungeons and Dragons movie right now is the same reason that in the early, I believe it was the early 2000s, it might have even been the year 2000, the original Dungeons and Dragons movie came out. By the way, it starred one of the Wayans brothers. I don't remember which one, but it doesn't matter. The movie was crap. I mean, it was a big steaming pile of crap. And Jeremy Irons, I'm not sure if you're familiar with a lot of his work,
really.
but when we're done here, I'm going to show you some Jeremy Irons stuff. He's a phenomenal actor. Top-notch, high-rate, amazing actor.
For sure.
And he gets to play the main villain in the story. And even he could not save that piece of crap. Now, visually, there was some cool stuff going on, but the story made no sense. And I understand that you're dealing with a fantasy world where about any type of thing that can happen probably will happen. But then I cite movies like the Lord of the Rings trilogy and even the Hobbit trilogy, which, not everyone loved, but you can't deny numbers. Like, they sold a lot of tickets to those movies. I think Return of the King actually won Best Picture of the Year. It
was a phenomenal movie. It should have won more.
So we grew up in the age of, your dad and me, we grew up in the age of Crawl and Tron and these movies that we thought were great. But when you look at them today, you're like, this movie's really bad. Like, it's really dumb and I don't get it. And so, there was a resurgence in Dungeons and Dragons around that time. And they were selling a lot of books. I want to say it was right around the time that the 3rd edition launched. And it was great. It was awesome. So they're like, let's do a movie. And Wizards of the Coast, who bought Dungeons and Dragons, said, cool, yeah, let's do that. And the movie's crap, right? It's absolute crap.
Which happens, yes.
So, you flash forward a few years in Dungeons and Dragons history. 4th edition wasn't really well received. I know that there's a lot of people that like it. It was not for me. I stuck with 3rd edition. So then we get this 4th edition, or 5th edition, sorry. And it's probably one of the easiest editions of the game to play. It's definitely the most streamlined. I think it takes the least amount of reading to understand what's going on. If you have a dungeon master who's played any role-playing games at all, he should be able to pick up the systems really fast, ad-lib, do what he needs to do, and he can get you in a game and running.
Okay.
The pre-written adventures are great for giving you story ideas and whatnot, and now we have a complete and total digital tool set in D&D Beyond, which does all the work for you. It does all of the math, it does all of the searching, it does all of the book page marking, and it's digital.
I can see it, yeah. I think you have to have that in today's age. D&D board games are so digital now, and they're getting even more digital. I mean, you took games like Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven now is in beta on Steam to where you can play it. And
but why is Gloomhaven being turned into a video game?
Because I feel like people like that type of game. Because it does feel like a Dungeons and Dragons dungeon crawler, and everybody likes that.
Oh, it's
But the big thing is getting 8 people, or however many people it takes, at the same house to play. If you're not having game night, you're not playing Gloomhaven. It's going to gather dust on top of your shelf.
Well, the brilliant thing about Gloomhaven is that Gloomhaven only requires one person to play Gloomhaven.
But nobody wants to play one. Sometimes.
There are a lot of people that have played it solo. I've played it solo. I have a hard time focusing on remembering whose turn it is. It's funny, when I play, I actually talk out loud because I have to. If not, I can't remember whose turn it is or what I'm doing. But the Dungeons and Dragons, you really can't, unless you're talking about one of the old PC games or something, you can't play Dungeons and Dragons by yourself. No. You need friends. You need people to play with.
No. And I think that's kind of cool. And they've also come up with apps for D&D that makes like maps that you can sit down as a dungeon master. And it's so great because you can see where your pieces are moving. You can kind of tell this story. You keep that D&D feel of, okay, we got a big monster. Okay, something crazy just happened. But at the same time, you can see it. For the visual learners like me, I need to see what is going on. I think that's the cool part.
And you are the main reason that with this edition of the game, I've bought a lot of dungeon tiles. I've bought miniatures. I've bought maps. I've bought grids that are dry erase, because I've realized that you're not the only person who is very visual.
Yeah.
And it's not like it needs to be I mean, you can just use a hex board, right, with dry erase markers.
Sure.
So just something that you can see, physically see.
Yeah.
Okay, my guy is here. This monster is about that far away. I'm going to do this thing. But now, I'm realizing I'm way too far away to do that thing. So, realistically, it makes sense that you can actually see what you're doing.
Yes.
So that is one of the reasons why I bought, because I know that you, a couple of the other people that we play with, they just like the miniatures. Plus, they do look cool on the table. Let's not kid ourselves. The monsters look cool.
They're beautiful, beautifully painted. I may add.
So yeah, the Dungeons and Dragons movie. So since Dungeons and Dragons right now is selling better than it ever has.
Well, with Stranger Things helping it a lot.
It definitely helped.
So this movie, good or bad? What's your take?
I think that it's no longer considered a bad thing, right? You're no longer like a social outcast for liking these things, because of how many celebrities have come out now and said, I play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like a ton. And I mean, not like celebrities you've never heard of, or maybe they've only been
big names.
Like big name celebrities, like Vin Diesel.
That's so crazy.
And I think I don't want to misspeak, but I feel like The Rock, I think he said he's dabbled in it or something.
Yeah.
You have that one dude from, he's been in everything. Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
He was in Magic Mike. He was in that. He's on that one Netflix movie with Pee Wee Herman, which, by the way, is hilarious. He was on How I Met Your Mother. Like, this dude's been in a ton of stuff, right? And every time he does his thing, he's great. But you look at this guy. He's like this huge, beefy, muscular, manly dude, right? Yeah. And this guy has a Dungeons and Dragons nerd cave in his house. I mean, with the full-on beholder head and the dragon thing, like, mounted on the wall. And he is not ashamed of it. He's got shelves filled with miniatures and tiles and dice and books and everything. Yeah. And then I guess other celebrities come over to his house, like Stephen Colbert and stuff, has been over to play with him. Yeah. I've read. I don't know if that's true. That's really neat, though.
They actually had him in Big Bang Theory. So they had this celebrity Big Bang, like it was...
I believe all of those people actually do.
Oh, yes.
They do play.
Because they had the one guy that's on the... I think he's like on the travel commercials or something.
Are you talking about Shatner?
Yes.
William Shatner's from Star Trek.
Oh my gosh.
He's Captain Kirk, man. Come on.
So they have him playing on this, and it's just this big exclusive thing.
He's the Travelocity guy. Yeah. He does those commercials. He was Captain Kirk.
Yeah, so... I've now probably been kicked off the podcast.
I think we got to kick you out.
So we'll be taking applications sometime this week.
I'm gonna need someone new to sit in the chair next to me.
Yes, but I think this movie, it has. I don't think it's going to be as great as everybody else. What
type of Dungeons and Dragons? Let's not judge whether it's going to be good, bad, or whatever. What type of Dungeons and Dragons movie would you give money to see? What kind of movie do you want?
I think Jumanji did it really well. Bringing it into the new age instead of playing a board game, because that's not realistic, and I think it's going to be more of a Jumanji feel. They put in a D&D game.
So you're thinking it's going to harken back more to the original cartoon series in the 80s.
It's going to be like the modern era. It's going to be a modern era D&D where it's not going to be so much. I think once you get into there. Yes, it's going to be...
So you feel more like a Princess Bride storybook kind of...
Yeah.
That's what you think.
Yeah.
That's what you would want to see.
Oh, for sure. I think if you do it that way, it keeps the interest, because what makes such classic movies? Look at Princess Bride. Quirky little jokes, great one-liners, and, you seem like a decent fellow, I hate to kill you. Like, I think if you add something in
that screenplay was just so well written, right?
I feel like if you bring that movie out in any time, that movie's amazing. You don't need any like CGI or nothing. It was just good. I mean, if we still had Andre the Giant, I couldn't imagine how many movies he'd be in. But I think the movie needs to take that kind of role into it, make it more of a screenplay type. It's just quirky, kind of funny, but still, it's D&D.
I'll tell you how good. We'll get it back to the D&D. I'll tell you how good Princess Bride is. I've bought it like 2 or 3 times, right?
I think everybody has.
VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, digital, whatever. I just went to the theater last year. The theater out here, it does like an older movie series.
Like a throwback movie.
Yeah, it's like $5 to go in and see. And I've seen a bunch of really cool movies I've never seen in a theater. But they had The Princess Bride. And I took a couple people from work who are significantly younger than I am, and they'd never seen it. And they all walked out of the movie theater with like these big smiles on their faces. Because normally when I talk about older movies, they are kind of like, that sounds terrible. Or, you know, I let them borrow one and they watch it and I'm like, I don't know, that was kind of dumb. But they walked out of the movie theater with the smiles on their faces, right? Like, they enjoyed it probably just as much as anyone who had ever seen it for the first time.
Oh, for sure.
And that's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, they're probably quoting "As You Wish" as they're walking out. Like,
well, they get some of those references.
Yeah,
now,
yeah. Is this a kissing book? I think D&D. It's gonna be. I don't want to hype it up because I feel like I do that a lot with movies. Is I hype them up, and then when I get to the theaters and they don't live up to this big hype, I kind of get disappointed. So I think it's gonna be a good movie. I hope they just add it into somewhere where it's kind of quirky, funny. D&D movie that it just makes you want to go watch it again.
I feel like that could work for the same reasons that both of the Jumanji movies that were successful worked. The Robin Williams one and the one with The Rock and Kevin Hart and Jack Black. It did have that kind of, you're not really in reality but you are kind of in reality, and that was a cool movie. I'm actually really looking forward to the sequel to the one that The Rock did. I think it's going to be great. Plus, it'll be really cool to see Danny DeVito and Danny Glover on screen again. I mean, those guys are awesome. Danny DeVito's been doing like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, so it's not like we haven't seen him, but I don't think I've seen him in like a movie in a while.
No, Danny DeVito said he will not retire ever. He will die. He would rather die making a movie.
Die an actor.
Yeah, right? Die an actor. Don't die in some bed. He wants to act.
I think that's
his whole
great.
life.
I mean, I don't want to see Danny DeVito die.
No. It's like seeing Chevy Chase die or something like that.
Oh,
that'd be
terrible.
so sad.
Anyway, back to the D&D thing. D&D is really popular right now. And every year, basically, usually when a new edition of the game launches, the books sell great, right? And they notice a trend that they don't sell as much the next year, and they sell a little bit less and a little bit less. But it's weird because that's actually been the opposite. They sold a whole bunch, and then they sold a little bit more the next year, and they sold a little bit more the next year. It's actually gone up every year since the launch of 5th edition. Yeah. But now you walk into stores like Barnes & Noble, they have a whole section devoted to it. Yeah. Right? I saw a family go in, like a dad and a mom. Dad was probably my age, maybe a little bit older, and he was really excited that his, I guess, 10, 11, maybe 12-year-old daughter was over looking at the books and found interest in it because that he played. Like, he knew about the game. It's not like it was foreign to him.
He was probably having a tear in his eye.
He probably was really excited about it, and he's like, I'll buy you whatever you want, right? All the books, we'll buy them all. We'll take them all home.
Yeah.
And the mom was kind of rolling her eyes like, I can't believe that I let this nerd talk me into taking my panties off for him. But it happened, and now we have a little girl.
Hey, magical things happen. D&D, don't let anybody tell you different. It might actually get you a girlfriend that likes it.
Yeah.
I got lucky with that. I don't even play D&D, and then I see her over there.
That's inaccurate. You don't play often, but you will play.
I will play. I'm one of those people that will love to sit on the couch and say I'm not playing tonight, but I will listen to everything that is going on.
You really have missed the last couple times we played. It's some of the best of the gaming that we've ever done. Yeah. And you missed it. It was great.
I would love to. I would love to just sit there. I'm not even in the game. I don't have a character, but I'm judging the whole time. Every move that's being made, I'm like, transform, do something to throw them off.
Okay, so we're getting off topic.
Yes.
What do I want to see in Dungeons and Dragons? I really feel that I personally would rather see more of a pick a story. They can even take one of their module books that they've written or adventure books. Some of them are quite famous, like Castle Ravenloft or Tyranny of the Dragon Queen or Horde of the Dragon Queen. Sorry.
Okay.
The one that just came out not long ago, Tomb of Annihilation. They have a bunch of really great stories that are already there that they could tell. However, I could kind of see that if it was done, well, I can see the Jumanji type story working. I could see that working.
For sure.
Even if they took one of the module books or stories that they have, because they already have a ton of material. They don't even have to write anything new. They just have to slightly modify something that they already have, because I mean they've been publishing great stories for years, 30 plus years now. They can take one of those stories and maybe tie the two elements together. I would be happy seeing a Dungeons and Dragons movie either way, as long as whoever's doing it genuinely cares about the source material. Because it wasn't that long ago that movies, comic book movies and video game movies and even graphic novel movies and board game movies and stuff, that stuff wasn't taken seriously by the directors. The studios that wanted to put them out saw dollar signs.
Yeah.
Look, Super Mario Brothers, that movie is terrible.
Oh, yes. Right? Very bad. I think I've seen it like 5 or 6 times when I was a kid.
I love John Leguizamo, and the actor that plays Mario, his name escapes me, but he's a great actor.
He needs to be Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito's Mario would be the best.
I'd watch that movie.
Yes.
No matter how bad it was, I'd watch that.
Why wouldn't you? It's Danny DeVito.
So, but I have hope, all right, because the two directors that are in talks for directing, they have Marvel behind them, right? They have some Marvel credit.
Yep.
And that would be Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. And if you don't know those names, don't feel bad. I didn't know their names either, but they did Game Night with Jason Bateman, which was like a really surprise kind of hit. It was really funny. It was a great movie. And they also wrote the screenplay for Spider-Man Homecoming, which we all saw, right? And it was pretty good.
Gave Tom Holland the shot.
Yeah, it was all right.
Yeah.
You know?
I think Far From Home, if you guys haven't seen it yet, get in the theaters. If it still is out there, go see it. It is beautiful.
It's great.
He spoiled it for me.
I didn't mean to.
But I'm not going to get on how he spoiled it, because then you'll go look it up. Just go see it.
Go see it if you haven't seen it. It's great.
So, kind of still talking about sales and childhood memories. Pokemon Go. 1 billion downloads on the mobile. Crazy numbers. I remember when this game first came out, it was everywhere. If you saw somebody walking, they were probably playing Pokemon Go, catching an Eevee, changing the name, just sitting there on their phone.
It was right here like this.
Yeah, it was. You had people sitting there hours on end. There's a guy that's like in, I think, China or Tokyo or something like that. He has like 15 phones on a bike playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Looks crazy. And this dude probably has all the legendaries.
Well, he's the very best. I think he's the very best that ever was.
I think that Professor Oak's been, talking to him a little bit.
He might be Professor Oak.
Ooh. Can I be Ash?
You'll have to probably go to Japan.
I want to go to Japan. That's my fun.
Me too. I want to go see it. So yeah, 1 billion downloads. That's impressive, right? I mean,
I just don't see
how many other apps have surpassed 1 billion downloads? Like YouTube?
YouTube. Probably bigger platforms, but a game like that it brought a community together. I feel like it was such an addictive game. If you were going too fast, they said, do not play this game when you're driving.
Yeah.
Because you had people sitting in cars going to like these Pokestops. I remember for the first week, we were in our car. We would go to like the fire station.
We had a designated driver. And,
we did.
And one of us would control his phone while we were, getting
we were safe about it.
We were safe.
Yeah.
Seatbelts and everything. We were safe.
Yeah, it's a game that took over, and I think it's awesome because it did bring a community, and I hope they add like some kind of update or whatever you want to call it to make the game have a comeback.
Have you played it lately?
I haven't played it lately. I know they're adding like this new version into the game.
They've added so much to the original game now. It's not even like the same game now. They've added trading, they've added battling, they've added raids, so now you can catch the legendary Pokemon. They've added random encounters like that's always been. They have a whole event right now going on with Team Rocket. So you can catch shadow Pokemon and cure them, and it was weird. So I don't play hardcore like I used to, but I do occasionally turn it on every couple of weeks or so and go, oh cool, there's a Ghastly out here, I'm gonna catch that.
Yeah.
I kept getting these notifications that basically said we are taking over, we are the future, and it was like supposedly messages from Team Rocket. And I was like, that's pretty cool. That's a really cool thing. And then the Pokemon company came back with, we were experiencing some technical difficulties. Everything seems to be back online. Sorry for all the weird notifications.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was brilliant. That is a brilliant marketing campaign.
Yeah. I think if you add stuff like that, because how many times that you're on your phone and you're sitting there, you're scrolling through any social media, Facebook, whatever it may be, playing a game, something pops up. your first instinct is, I gotta click on it.
Yeah, I gotta click it.
And I can almost guarantee you, if you're out and about, like at a mall or something like that, and a Pokemon Go notification pops up, you are probably going to open it, whether you haven't opened it since the game launched.
Yeah. New update.
You're going to be like, I might catch a Pikachu. Maybe a little Raichu action. And however many Pokemon, the game is just taking over, and I think it's not going anywhere, and I hope to see a comeback.
I think people called it a fad, right? And it was, I'd say. It was that whole nostalgia thing, and we know for a fact that that's not individual unique downloads. We know that.
No.
But they estimate that there's, I don't know, 67 or 167, I don't know, million people, monthly users or whatever, that are still playing the game.
Yeah.
But 1 billion downloads, I mean, is impressive.
You just can't. That's a good number, and there's top tier games that have been out way longer than said Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it hasn't even hit there.
And the game is kind of silly. It really is, but
no, if you spin the ball, you get like extra points.
It hits those nostalgia factors, for all the people that grew up watching the cartoon and playing the first Game Boy games and whatnot. And I think that's why it really kind of took off and why it's still remaining popular. I know entire communities of gamers who play this like you play Call of Duty, like I play Pac-Man or whatever. That's the most competitive I get, Pac-Man or whatever.
Exactly.
But they play nonstop every day. I have a friend, I won't mention her name, but she's in a community and she walks around. She's tried to get me to go out and do this stuff with her, and I'm like, it just doesn't interest me that much. It's really hot outside. It's July when you guys want to go. It's 108 degrees, and I don't like walking that much.
I cannot lie. If I sit in a certain spot in my house, Pokemon spawn just close enough to where I can catch them. So I'm still in AC doing it. I think that's why we liked the car so much when we were driving around.
So I got the Apple Watch, right? And they removed the Pokemon Go app on it. But now you can do this thing, it's called Adventure Sync. And your watch keeps track of how many steps you take. And that will now translate over into Pokemon Go even if the game's not on. So now when I boot up, it's like, you've done 7.8 kilometers this week. And I'm like, sweet. And I hatched an egg too? Cool. So like they have some new things in there for people who don't want to log on and play every day.
Yeah.
But don't think just because you don't see the people running around with their phones like that, so there aren't still people playing. You don't do 1 billion downloads and then 99% of the people stop playing? That doesn't happen.
No. I think Pokemon will forever stay, and it's pretty crazy. Another thing to kind of look at, and it kind of brings us to our next point, is since we're talking about Nintendo and Pokemon and stuff like that, Switch has now moved to the 15th best console ever sold.
Yeah.
Sitting at about 36.5 million units sold, which is an insane number.
It's only been out since March of 2017.
And what is that?
So that's a little over 2 years.
I think that this system is constantly growing. I think with the addition of Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing, I don't know how many people played Animal Crossing, but if you have and you haven't played it yet, I suggest not buying it because you won't have a life once you do buy it. It is a beautiful game. It sells itself.
It's coming out in March next year.
Yeah, and then you have the Pokemon game, which I hope it's similar to Coliseum, because that game was beautiful on the GameCube.
They've already basically said that it's going to be just like the ones that were on the DS and the Game Boy. It's going to be just a regular story game. The biggest controversy surrounding that is the fact that they basically came out and said all the Pokemon aren't going to be in it. You can't use all the Pokemon that have ever existed ever in the game. We just couldn't. And there's a lot of people upset about that. Now the thing is, they haven't told us which ones are in and which ones are not. But using just kind of some basic Scooby-Doo deduction here, I would say that since Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, all of those Pokemon are probably going to be in the new game, which is good. That game only encompasses the original, I believe, 151, if you count Mew. So all those are probably in. And their Alolan forms are probably in too.
Okay.
All of their new ones, however many they put in that, are definitely in. And I think what you're going to see is some of the weird ones probably won't be like the less popular ones. But there was that survey they just did not long ago, and I wish I had the data in front of me. I don't. But everyone has a favorite Pokemon, and not everyone all loves the same Pokemon. Like there are Pokemon that they had every Pokemon listed of the almost 800 now.
Yeah.
Maybe 900. I'm not sure. I think they'll be over or close to 1,000 or over 1,000 when this new one comes out. That everyone has a favorite. There's not one Pokemon that is not someone's favorite Pokemon when they did this survey.
So
that's amazing.
That leads me to, who's your favorite Pokemon?
Jigglypuff.
Jigglypuff. Okay. Now,
yeah, it's him or Gengar.
Okay. Well, now the most important question I think of out of all Pokemon fans. Now we're gonna go a little old school with this because when I started playing, it was Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur.
Yeah.
If Professor Oak walked up to you right now and says, "I'm gonna give you a real life of one of these. You are the trainer. You are the master. Who are you picking?"
Jigglypuff.
You can't pick Jigglypuff.
Then I want a Pikachu because I want to play Yellow version.
Okay, that's fair.
Although honestly, he wasn't that good in the Yellow version because the gyms were still the same. So Brock was impossible because you're using a Lightning Pokemon and he's Rock.
Yeah.
But when you got to Misty, game on, right?
Yeah. Oh.
Dusted her ass. No problem. I'd go with. See, when I played originally, I believe I went with a Bulbasaur because I felt like all my friends were going to go with Charmander.
Yeah.
He's definitely more popular of the three. I don't think I've ever started the game with one of the water types.
See, this is why I know we're doing this podcast together and why this would work because I play Bulbasaur every time.
Bulbasaur,
however you say it. I know.
I wasn't correct.
But what I'm saying is that's by far my favorite. I would not level any of my other guys throughout the whole time. I got like a level 55, and he's fully evolved. He's looking sweet, looking stacked.
The rest of you guys are level 10.
Yeah, he dies, and then I'm like, well, I think I need to go catch more Pokemon because my other guys are level 10.
But you didn't understand the game back then when you were playing.
No,
you didn't understand.
And then the guy that you would always compete with, like your cousin or whatever he was, your friend.
Oh, he always had everything.
I'm like, okay, you got 3 evolved Pokemon. I'm over here like, I got a 55 Bulbasaur, and hopefully you don't kill it or I'm screwed. And he'd always pick the one that counters you.
Oh, well, he has to. Because level only matters so much in that game.
I demand code change.
Your type matters now.
Because every time I'm like, pick Squirtle, pick Squirtle, pick Squirtle.
But there's so many types now, right? So many different types of. I don't mean like the monsters, but I mean actual like fire, electric, whatever.
Psychic, yeah.
There's so many different types that. I know that's also part of the thing that they were having an issue with is that they didn't want too many of one type in the game and not enough of another, too many of the same with the same weakness because then you run into issues where if they make one of the gym leaders, for example, I don't know if they will say that one of the gym leaders is ice. And then you have a better chance of capturing more guys that are weak to ice and then you go against this gym leader and your whole team gets devastated by one guy.
And you're stuck for...
So they had to make it balance issues, not just from the game aspect, but from the competitive aspect, because those guys won't get used if they all have the same weakness, right?
Yeah, but we strayed way off topic with Pokemon.
Sorry.
I know we talked about it earlier, but we got to get back on topic.
But 15 best-selling console of all time.
Over two short years.
A little over 2 years. And it knocked off another Nintendo console out of the top 15, which was the N64. I find it kind of weird because there's no mention in the top 15 of the GameCube. And, I've been getting into this whole retro thing lately, and I picked up a GameCube. I have a ton of GameCube games now. Spent way more money on it than I should have, but some of those games are expensive.
Oh, yes.
And there were a ton of games on the GameCube. Now, GameCube was out around the same time that PlayStation 2 was doing its thing. It was, I think the PlayStation 3 launched sometime after that. But I guess the GameCube was a commercial failure. They said it was. I thought it was a really cool system.
Donkey Konga, best game ever.
Oh, sweet. I have the bongo drums now too, so I
we
can
need
do
to
that.
play.
So, yes, 15th best-selling console of all time. The number charts show that if it keeps on the pace that it's at, by this time, in less time, that it'll hit the, higher up on the list. That it'll eventually, I don't know if it will, but it'll outsell eventually even the PlayStation 4.
Another great feat that happened this week was, I don't know when it was exactly announced this week, but
I think it was July 30th. I think so.
Yeah.
Or July 31st.
Yeah, PS4, 100 million units, which is
100 million.
Yeah, that's huge.
That puts it right behind the Wii.
At number 6. And the Wii, I just remember when it came out, everybody was going nuts because it was the first console that was released by Nintendo that wasn't an SPDS or whatever type. It was since GameCube.
Well, they made a console, and the success story of the Wii is Wii Sports.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt. They packaged probably one of their best games with the system.
Mm-hmm.
They also wanted to make a system that anyone could use. I mean, how hard is it to point a remote control at the screen and do what you want to do? It's pretty easy. Everyone knows how to use it.
It made it feel realistic, yeah.
So when you go back and you watch these news conferences at E3 and stuff, they even talked about that. They said, we were striving to make a game console for people who weren't gamers. And it worked. I mean, they sold a ton of games. Now, me, I didn't have a Wii, right? You guys had a Wii. I didn't have one. But I'm going back now and buying some Wii games, and there's a ton of great games on the Wii, and they're not all motion control. A lot of them actually don't use motion control at all.
Yeah. Or
you have the option of turning it off. And I mean, they're great. There's Metroid games, there's Zelda games, there's a ton of Mario games on it, Fire Emblem. There's a ton of games on that system.
Oh, for sure. I think Wii was kind of a sleeper for games. Like, it had such beautiful releases. I just think when you make them all exclusive to Nintendo, you don't get that kind of exposure like a Call of Duty and stuff like that that's launched on multi-platform.
There was Call of Duty on the Wii.
There was.
Did you know that?
Yeah, because my cousins actually, that's where they played Zombies. And, by the way, Zombies is phenomenal. But
great.
But besides all that, PS4, 100 million sold. Crazy feats.
So do you think it's gonna take over the Wii? They don't have to go that many more units to pass it. It's about another 1.5 million, maybe?
Yeah. So I think you may see it if there's another big release before like PS5, I think it is, that's coming out.
Yeah. They haven't even said that's the next official name. We just we assume.
Before the Google Stadia comes out, before the next gen consoles, I think if you can get a few more major releases in that category, you may see people buying the PS4. People all the time bought PS4s for exclusives like God of War. I know a lot of people went out and bought it because it came with God of War. So it just all depends. I think it depends on the releases, but we may see it top the Wii.
I think it's going to fall in an interesting spot. I think it's going to pass the Wii. I don't think that there's a, I don't think there's going to be a question of that. They've got over a year left to sell consoles, and it's not like all of a sudden 2020 is going to hit and there are no more PlayStation 4s to sell. Yeah. If you look back at the history of even the PlayStation 2, there were people that were still buying PlayStation 2s when the PlayStation 3 was available.
Yeah.
And part of that was the PlayStation 3 launched at a $499.99 price tag. I mean, $500 is a lot when you can get a PS2 for a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah.
And there were already a ton of great games on it.
Oh, yeah.
So they were selling, I don't think it was half, but they were selling a lot of PS2s while they were still selling PS3s, like when those were new. So Sony has basically said that the transition between these two generations is going to be pretty easy. It's not going to be painful like the transition between PS2 and PS3 or PS3 to PS4, where there's no backwards compatibility. None of your old stuff works. Yeah. That's not even going to be the issue now, which is brilliant. That's smart. You need to do that.
Oh, for sure.
So I think it'll be a long time before anyone ever hits the number one spot. I mean,
who's holding the number one spot again? I can't.
PlayStation 2. It's like 150 some or 160 million units.
I think. Especially, I think it's going to be hard because we're about to, like I said, the digital age is coming, where everybody does all the online stuff, to where, what are we going to do with these kind of systems? Is it going to go by downloads, if you want to call it that? We shall see.
What about you? What's your take on the digital gaming front? Are you for it, or are you more of a, man, I really wish that there were more physical things?
I'm fine with both. I think that you're not going to see, within the next 5 years, or we'll say 5 year time frame, you're not going to see completely ghost towns when it comes to physical copy games. I think you're going to see more digital downloads for sure. Internet's getting better, so everything downloads faster, everything's smoother. I think it matters on where digital goes. If this whole digital streaming of games takes off, yeah, you may see Ghost Town. But if it tanks, I think you're still going to have people digital downloading games, but I just don't think that, the hard physical copies are going to go away.
The only issue I really feel that you're going to run into is if everything goes to a streaming medium, you completely resolve the biggest complaint, which is storage, right? How do you store all these games that people want to buy?
Yeah.
Hard drives are only so big. People don't want to keep shelling out money and deleting the games off of your hard drive just to re-download them later when you want to replay them. That sucks. That's not fun. There's a lot of gamers who play like we do, and we get spontaneous, right? And we're like, well, today I want to play this game, and then I don't want to play that game for 2 years, and then I'll come back to it later. I don't have to re-download a 60 gig game on my, okay internet connection. So I think streaming it's definitely going to be a thing. It's not like it's not going to exist. PlayStation now has their own streaming platform. Microsoft is definitely delving into it, and then you've got Google, who's basically launching a whole platform on it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if they actually can pull that hat trick off, right, with a Chromecast and a controller and streaming to any device that has a Google Chrome browser, and I'm talking 60 frames per second and 4K resolutions, and it looks superb and pretty and there's no stutter. If they can actually pull that off, that'll be amazing.
Yeah, we may see something different. But that is about time.
Yeah, I think we've talked enough about nerdy things this week.
I know. I'm like, I never thought doing a podcast would make me so tired.
Yeah, I feel sleepy.
I feel like I just worked like 8 hours.
Maybe it's the fact that it's like 125 degrees in this room.
Hey, if we want good quality sound, I told you we have to turn off the AC. But just a quick recap of people that didn't quite get to see it, or you kind of skipped around during maybe on YouTube or something like that. We talked a little bit about the Endgame spoilers, how the movie trailer kind of spoiled everything. Fortnite, $3 million, crazy stuff. Ninja switching from Twitch to Mixer. Fire Emblem, great game that it is. Go try it out. Go buy a Switch. I don't care what you have to do. Get this game. GameStop, we all have our love and hates for the trade-in values, pre-orders, and failure to just give us what we want as gamers. And the D&D movie. It's going to be one of those we're going to have to see. I want to see a trailer of it. I wish they would release something here in the next few months.
Yeah, well, they haven't even signed on an official director, so it's going to be a minute.
No, I need it now.
It's much like the casting of the Sub-Zero guy in the Mortal Kombat movie. Like they still don't have a full screenplay written or anything yet. So
we'll have to see.
But he said it's going to be a hard R, and fatalities will be included, so that'll be cool. Anyway,
yeah. But Pokemon, crazy. Money talks, downloads, everything. Units being sold to PS4 and Switch. Crazy week, I would say, in the nerd world.
Couple of crazy weeks.
Yeah.
I feel like we covered about a couple weeks worth of interesting stuff.
So hopefully next week gives us another action-packed week of just news and crazy things that we can just rant about and get off topic about, because that's always fun. So we're going to go get out of here so we can actually get some AC, because it is burning up in here. We're just those two nerds hanging out and having a good time and just talking about the nerd stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and hopefully see you next Saturday again for another amazing podcast. Anything you want to add before we go?
Don't buy stuff from GameStop. I'm just kidding. Be safe. Have fun.
Yeah.
Keep doing nerdy stuff. We kind of run the world now. Avengers, right?
Assemble.
Avengers is the top grossing film of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we did it, right?
Yeah. Quick spoiler.
Way to go, nerds. We did it.
Yeah, I was going to say, quick spoiler. Captain America picks up Thor's hammer, and that's how we're going to end the show.
Oh, you're a dick.
Yeah. You got to be that way sometimes. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching the podcast, and hope to see you next week.
CELEA.